Shalom. It is wonderful to see everybody in the sanctuary tonight and to welcome those of you who are joining us online this evening. And I hope that as we move through our service this evening, that again, like last week, you will help sing out so that we will make some great music together. And for those of you at home, this is a great time to grab your candlesticks, to grab your wine, so that together we can welcome in Shabbat with candles and kiddush. And as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. So we welcome in the light and the warmth and the peace of Shabbat. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we take up our wine for kiddush, and if you are able, I ask you please to rise. And if you're at home and you're comfortable, I ask you also to please rise. And there was evening and there was morning the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. And we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila Lemikrae Kodesh, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu Vacharta, Biotanu Kidashta, Mikol Hamim, Vishabat Kodshecha, Be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we say together, L'chaim, to life. You may be seated. So this week we are in still the book of Numbers. It is Parashat Balak. And if you don't know, after 18 years, this is my favorite Torah portion. Why? Because there's an angel with a sword and there's a talking donkey. What is not to love about a talking donkey? So in this week's Parashat Balak, we meet Balaam, who is a non-Jewish prophet from Mesopotamia. And we have another great figure in the Torah from Mesopotamia, and that is Abraham. While both Abraham and Balaam are two men from the same region, whose lives are captured in the words of Torah, and both are prophets who are engaged in conversation with God. Yes, Balaam, even a non-Jewish prophet, God speaks to him. There's similarities end there. Balaam was a man who was full of negativity. Abraham was a man who we know to be kind and welcoming. Abraham was someone we know who, when asked to do something, would run with positivity to do it. Our sages describe both men in terms of how they see the world. Abraham is described by the rabbis as having a good eye, that he was humble and he had a humble spirit, while Balaam is described as having an evil eye and a haughty spirit. And in this week's parsha, we hear the story of Balaam and his journey to the hills of Moab to curse the Israelites. His journey included multiple encounters with an angel of God who he did not immediately see, and a talking donkey. The talking donkey who did see that angel and constantly was stopping, trying to get his attention, until Balaam hit him one too many times, and the donkey turned to him and said, "What's up? Don't you see the angel that's right there?" The donkey probably said a little more than that, but he was tired of being hit. As Balaam's journey begins, the Torah tells us, when he arose in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and departed with the Moabite dignitaries. We know that when Balaam was called to Moab, after a conversation with God in which God said, maybe you shouldn't go, he got up and was eager to go on this journey as a prophet for hire to curse people. And he saddled his own donkey, which means he didn't rely on his servants for help. Looking back at Abraham's story, in his journey to the binding of Isaac, you know that story. That is where Abraham is called by God and shows his devotion to God and is ready to sacrifice his son Isaac. Abraham also saddles his own donkey, as the Torah tells us. And Abraham arose early in the morning, and he saddled his donkey, and he took his 2 young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split wood for a burnt offering, and he arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Rashi, a Torah commentator, speaks about the similarity of these 2 circumstances, these 2 men saddling their own donkeys. As Rashi says, Balaam saddled his donkey. From here, we may learn that the hatred one bears for a person makes one disregard the rule imposed upon him by his exalted position. For he himself, and not a servant, did the saddling. The Holy One, blessed be God, said, "You wicked man, their ancestor Abraham has already anticipated you in this, as it is said, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his donkey." So why these 2 different juxtapositions about saddling donkeys? Rashi's insight can actually be relevant to us. There are times when we experience intense negativity, which can cause us to disregard the standard, those standard rules, the regular way that things are supposed to be done, and the negativity that we are feeling can propel us to do things that are below the standard that we set for ourselves, and perhaps even below the standard that we are below the person we want to be. We feel helpless in the face of the intense urge, imagine it, to saddle that donkey and get where we need to go in the service of negative energy. And yet Rashi tells us that Abraham also saddled his donkey with intense passion, but it was a different kind of passion. It was a passion that was fueled by intense love for God and not fueled by hate or greed. And our sages suggest that each one of us possesses both the positive energy of Abraham and the negative energy of Balaam. And while none of us may regularly be saddling donkeys with passion or no passion, there are many other things that we do in this world with passion. And the question is whether it is with a negative passion or energy like Balaam, or an energy that can bring curse, or is it a positive passion and energy like Abraham, an energy that brings blessing? I think you spoke about that today, Meredith, if I read something. The Torah recognizes that we, at different points, are going to feel these two energies in our lives. And it's not a problem that we feel these energies or that we experience them, but it's what we do with them. Do we choose blessing or do we choose curse? Often, it's hard for us to remember that we, all of us, hold so much power. We hold the power to curse, and we hold the power to bless. I'm not talking about magical powers like Harry Potter, but rather the power of our actions and the power of our words. We forget how truly powerful it is to put our actions and our words out into the universe. And in moments of passion, when we're filled with so much energy, be it negative or positive, we have to decide, how are we going to saddle our donkeys? Are we going to be like Balaam, or are we going to be like Abraham? On this Shabbat, my hope and prayer for all of us is that in all moments, but most especially those moments that fill us with negative energy and passion, that we pause, that we breathe, and that we open our hearts and our eyes to the world around us and recognize that within ourselves, we have our own power to redirect our energy to create and to bring blessings into the world. This is our task, and this is our challenge. Shabbat Shalom. So now in our prayer books, we turn to page 131 as we welcome in Shabbat and we think about singing a song to God for Shabbat. We do so with Shiru Ladonai.
Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadash. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadash.
And we turn now in our prayer books to page 146, and I ask you all to please rise for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai, turn to page 148, and we join together in Ma'ariv Aravim in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And on page 151, we read together at the top of the page. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And together at the top of the next page, we join together in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. And at the top of page 155, we join together in the English of Ve'ahavta. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. And on page 157, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And on page 158, we join together in Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nejar b'kodesh, norate hilot, ose feleh. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea. They sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai?
And on page 160, we turn to words of peace as God brings on the evening. Hashkivenu. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 164 as we prepare for the Amidah, we rise. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Bezocher chaste avot v'imahot, umevi geula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer umoshia umagen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 168, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav lehoshia, mohorid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim berofech olim, umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot umido melech. Melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lechachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai. Mechaye hakol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai,
Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. And we turn in our prayer books to page 173. And at the top of that page, we join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. And on page 175, we read together at the middle of the page. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find the courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. And on page 177, we take a moment and we reflect on the week that has been, and we take a moment for gratitude. So I ask that you try to picture in your mind something from this week, something for which you would like to give thanks. And we hold on to that moment as we join together on page 177 and offer our thanks and gratitude to God. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, and for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. And together on page 179, we offer a prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. And now we turn our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers to those in our community who are in need of healing. And if tonight you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing and you are comfortable and would like to call their name aloud to send it out into the heavens, I ask that you rise at this time, and together we will share those names. And we take all of those names that were called aloud, as well as all of those names that are in our hearts, and may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we join in singing Misha Berach, our prayer for healing.
Habracha
we take a moment for silent and personal prayer.
Shabbat Shalom. I am David Kaiser, a member of your Board of Trustees, here to give you a few announcements what's coming up over the next few weeks. Tomorrow at UH, now we've got 3 things going on, so I'm going to go over this slowly so you can keep up with me. We have Torah study that begins at 9 o'clock in the library or on Zoom. We have Shabbat morning services, which begin at 10:30 on live stream. And at 6 o'clock, we usher out Shabbat, and we welcome in next week now via live stream. Now here's some very exciting news. Next week, next Friday evening at Shabbat services, we will be joined by Rabbi Reinhardt. It's his first Shabbat at UH, so I invite everyone to join us, welcome him, and show him the great support and the great loving family that we have at UH. Also, on August 2nd, we will have a Red Cross blood drive at 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock here at the temple. For additional information, you can always go out to our UH website where it has loads of different classes and events that are happening around UH. Thank you to our tech team, who again is doing another great job bringing the services to those at home. And as we know, Iris would be happy to open the gift shop anytime so you can buy those great wedding gifts, those Passover pieces or Yom Kippur pieces that are going to be coming up shortly. Don't be the last one because you don't want to have her run out on you. She's got some great gifts. So please call the temple office, arrange a time for Iris to meet you. She'd love to see you. And again, thank you to Rabbi. Thank you for David holding down some great double duty tonight, and it's coming off beautifully. So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm trying to think of the Yom Kippur piece on the gift shop. Okay. She probably does. I'm asking David, what's a Yom Kippur piece that she might have? I had to think of something what was that? She's also open on Wednesdays and Fridays from noon to 3. I remember that. Sorry, Mondays, Wednesday. Thank you, Susan. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from noon to 3. And as David said, if those hours don't work for you, call Iris. She will come in, or she will call us in the office and say, open the gift shop, and we will do that. We now turn in our prayer books to page 586, and we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום
You may be seated. And we turn to page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. This Shabbat, we are in the period of Shloshim. For Celia Seal Becker, Nancy Bornstein, Diane Marlene Deutsch, Floyd Nathan Emmert, Clarence Paul Feldman, Dr. David Weiss Halivni, Gail Jean Kravitz, Edwin August Lips Jr., Bob Pickle, Geraldine Jerry Knight Rich, and Ivan J. Rothman. This week, this Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeits and we lovingly remember Marion C. Barnholtz, Elaine Breimer, Helene Bronson, Shirley Chackus, Rose I. Cherick, Inez Rose Claris, Leo Cosentino, Sylvia Kovitz, Elsie Edelstein, John Edelstein, Charles C. Eisenkramer Sr., Lottie Ellis, Emil Feinberg, Charlotte Siegel Feldman, Norma Feldman, Alex Fischel, M. Michael Fishman, David F. Ginsberg, Essie Goldberg, Marlon Goldblum, Samuel Goldstein, Rose Greenspan, Jerome K. Grossman, Bruce Harris, Toby Hartman, Sadie Rudolph Hirsch, Louis Horowitz, Meyer Hurwitz, Eleanor Rickensole Kaiser, Ida Ketcher, Edward Kramer, Alfred Kraus, Edna Lander, Robert G. Lasky, Jean Z. Levy, Michael Levinson, Morris Mandel, Philip Rubin Newmark, Lester E. Neiman, Morris Perlstein, Michael A. Powell, Jeanette Presence, Ben Rabin, Wilma N. Rector, Mark Rosenblum, Judge Morris Rosenthal, Ethel Rudolph Rothman, Jean Landau Rothman, Susan Frank Rowe, Michael Rubin, Dr. William E. Rubenstein, Michael Philip Sachs, Maurice Sikowski, Norman D. Sandberg, Sandra Elaine Sander, Rose Gomberg Sanders, Mary Schwartz, Maurice B. Seltzer, Robert Siegel, Lena Sigaloff, Rosetta Simon, Abraham Sinkoff, Harlan S. Steinbach, Sylvia Tucker, Melvin J. Tyner, Maxine S. Yukman, Ben Yanow, Lillian Yavitz. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing as we turn to page 598 and we rise for the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olmei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yish Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Taleh V'yit Halal Shemei Dekudasha Barichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechemata Damiram Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. And on this Shabbat of Parashat Balak, there is so much to be said about curses and blessings. Certainly in this parasha, God has a little bit of control as God says to Bil'am, whatever you say, it doesn't matter, it will come out as blessing. And so, yes, there are those times in our lives where God is the one acting and creating those blessings. And yet, we also have to remember that we too create our own blessings. And we have to decide at a time right now, especially when our world is not in such a wonderful place, how is it that we act and react? Do we, metaphorically, saddle our donkey in a negative rage, or do we take that action and use positivity and use love and open our eyes to try to see things a little bit differently and to try to continue to build bridges? And so we end our service as we begin, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that we will build this world in love, that we have to do that work. And when we do that work, then God will come in and also come behind us and help us build the world with love. So we join together. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed are the same, let's hear you. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. I will build this world from love.
da 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 da.
Shabbat Shalom.